Welcome back to Military Comebacks. Today's story is one that hits deep, a story about pride, authority, and the moment a man who believed he was untouchable discovered that real strength has nothing to do with rank or medals. This happened in a small village on the Eastern Front in the winter of 1943, a story hidden away in classified files for decades. It's about General Victor Constantine and a girl named Anya. Stay with me, because this will change the way you think about courage. Snow drifted down like gray ash that December morning, blanketing the ruins of what had once been a lively village. General Victor Constantine stood in the center of the square, his chest covered in medals that glinted in the pale winter light. He was known as a man who had crushed uprisings, commanded thousands, and left destruction in his wake. His reputation rolled ahead of him like distant thunder. Soldiers feared him. Civilians feared him more. His orders were absolute. His anger meant death. Mercy, if it existed at all, was something almost no one had seen. But that day, in that frozen square, he was about to be humbled. The village had been accused of hiding resistance fighters. Constantine ordered every resident into the square, elderly men bent with age, women clutching babies, children with eyes that had already seen too much. They stood trembling in the bitter cold, their breath fogging the air. The general paced in front of them, boots crunching on the snow. "Where are they?" he demanded. "Where are the insurgents?" No one answered. Fear had locked their voices away. They knew that speaking could be just as deadly as silence. Rage twisted across Constantine's face. Silence was something he wasn't used to. He grabbed an old man by the collar and shook him violently, demanding answers, but the men truly knew nothing. Then a small figure stepped forward from the crowd. She couldn't have been older than 16. Her name was Anya. She was thin, her oversized coat hanging off her frame, her face pale from hunger. One leg dragged slightly, childhood polio had left her with a permanent limp. All her life she had been called weak. "Please," she said softly. "He doesn't know anything. None of us do." Constantine shoved the old man aside and turned toward her, something dark in his expression. Maybe her frailty offended him. Maybe it was her courage to speak. Maybe he just needed to remind everyone who held power. "You dare speak to me," he growled. Anya didn't step back. She couldn't run even if she wanted to. She just stood there, hands clasped, eyes steady. And in those eyes, the general saw something that made his anger flare hotter: pity. Before anyone could react, he struck her. The sound cracked through the square. She fell into the snow, blood touching the white ground. Gasps rippled through the crowd. But Anya did something no one expected. Shaking, struggling, she pushed herself back to her feet. And when she stood, she looked at him and said quietly, "I forgive you." Those 3 words hit harder than any weapon. But Constantine only felt fury. How dare she offer forgiveness, as if she had power over him? He lifted his hand again, and suddenly froze. Pain exploded in his chest. Blinding, crushing. He clutched his uniform, gasping. His legs gave out, and the feared general collapsed into the snow beside the girl he had just struck. A heart attack. Sudden and merciless. As darkness closed in, he understood he was dying, not from an enemy's bullet, but from his own failing heart. Tears streamed down his face. Then he felt gentle hands lifting his head. Through blurred vision, he saw Anya kneeling beside him, cradling him. "Help," she cried. "Please, someone help him." The villagers hesitated. This man had terrorized them. Why save him? But Anya kept pleading. Finally, some men stepped forward. They carried him to the only building still standing, a small church. A former city medic among the villagers worked through the day and night to keep him alive. And Anya stayed. She brought water. She adjusted blankets. She prayed. 3 days later, Constantine woke fully. Anya sat beside his bed, exhausted. "Why?" he whispered. "Why help me?" She met his eyes. "Because you needed help. Everyone deserves mercy, especially when they don't deserve it." For the first time in decades, the general wept, not in rage, but in shame. Something inside him broke, and in breaking, began to heal. When he recovered, his orders stunned his officers. The village was to be left alone. Supplies were sent. Food. Medicine. Help to rebuild. Years later, after the war, An old man with a cane returned to that village cemetery. He stood before a simple grave. Anya had died the winter before, her body worn down by hardship. "You saved me," he said softly. "You showed me I was the weak one. That cruelty is easy. Mercy takes strength." He left a single white flower and walked away. The villagers still tell the story of the general who learned true strength from a girl who could barely walk. Strength isn't in medals, muscle, or fear. It's rising after you're knocked down. It's showing mercy when none was shown to you. It's choosing love when hate would be easier. That was Anya's strength. And it's a lesson the world still needs.